The mandate, though, that you want to have everyone insured because, yes, you can choose not to have health insurance, but ultimately that means other people are going to pay the cost if you get hurt, either by way of higher, premiums or emergency room costs. Isn't the idea behind the mandate to spread that cost over everybody?
Well, and spreading the cost amongst society, or collectivism, if you will, is really a philosophy that we at the 1851 Center, and I know speaking on behalf of the Ohio Liberty Council, really object to. That's really the philosophy that got us involved in this issue, is this idea of collectivism, that everybody should be forced into this system where their individual needs or best interests are subservient to the interests of the whole. That's something more akin to the government of China or the Soviet Union or Cuba today. The idea of collectivism or the idea of paternalism, that the government knows best for you what you need to buy, and that you don't know best for yourself what you actually need to purchase, and that they actually sit above you in judgment of you and are in a better position to tell you what to buy. So these philosophies of paternalism and collectivism are really, this really is a philosophical battle more than a utilitarian one at its bottom. But from the utilitarian standpoint, the mandate doesn't work. In Massachusetts, healthcare premiums are up 12% per year since 2006, since the mandate was implemented, and overall healthcare spending is up 25% a year. So the results so far from this experiment indicate that it just doesn't work.
And that was a Republican governor, we should point out, Mitt Romney, who championed that in the state of Massachusetts. Jeff, let me ask you, we're hearing, we heard a lot this week about doctors, some doctors who said that they might quit because of this bill. I read this morning that there's looks to be an urgent need for primary care physicians, more of them. Where do you think this falls out? People getting out of the business, or will we see more students go into med school?
I think we won't really know until a few years down the road what impact this has on medical school enrollment and applications. But I tell you, I am very concerned. I traveled to state this week talking to physicians all across Ohio, and I heard some real concern out there. I heard physicians who were counseling their children to not go to medical school because of the concern of the direction of our healthcare system. And that really concerns me as a citizen, but particularly as someone who's involved in the front lines of representing physicians. But what really, I think the challenge with medical students is they're going to have to look at the uncertainties in their future. They're coming out of medical school right now with $150,000 to $200,000 of debt. That's a lot of money that they're taking on to become well-educated professionals, and to not have the guarantee of a system that's going to be able to support you to be able to pay those loans back. It causes great concern for our future.
A lot of the rhetoric in response to this from the opponents is to either repeal the bill now or repeal it and replace it with something better, I guess. Do you have a position about what should happen should this bill be repealed from your perspective, or is there an alternative that you could get behind that would improve the bill or make the situation better?
Well, Mark, I think from our organization's standpoint, we're going to, we have to accept that the bill has been passed. Very rarely does our government go in the other direction and start to repeal entitlement programs and initiatives that it's enacted. So we want to work to make sure that this is implemented in the right and responsible way. We want to make sure that the existing programs are fully funded so we can ensure that people who now have been granted this additional access have coverage to high-quality medical services. So we're going to go forward and work with our Ohio congressional delegation and our state lawmakers to ensure that what's been enacted is implemented in a responsible way.
Maurice, we just have literally 30 seconds, but I did want to ask you, a lot of law professors have weighed in, legal experts have weighed in this week, basically saying if you try to repeal this at any level, Congress does have the constitutional ability and authority to enact laws. Very quickly, how do you respond to that? Do they not have that basic right to enact legislation?
They have the right to enact legislation, but in this case the power comes from the Commerce Clause, and to say that your mere existence is commerce opens up the door to Congress literally regulating anything. It means they can tell you to get a gym membership, they can tell you to go to the gym 5 times a week, and they can supervise that activity, and that's just not a world that we want to live in.
All right, very good. Gentlemen, good to see both of you. Thanks so much. When we come back, 2 of Ohio's top political strategists step into the ring. They don't agree on much as the clock ticks towards November. First, let's take a look and check out the headlines from the State House this week. Be right back.